is it biblical or is it man's opinion that there are different levels of heaven? Depends on what you mean by levels of heaven. There's a reference that Paul makes of being carried up to the third heaven. It's like, okay, well, what does that mean? I don't know. And we've had this question before about that, where we talked about that. It's like, well, what's being described on that third heaven? Is it like in heaven and there's layers, or is it the atmosphere and space and heaven? Unless there's something that y'all are thinking of. I know the Bible talks about like kind of different rewards in heaven. I don't know if that would necessarily mean levels, like are you in the good neighborhood or in the, projects or whatever, but, which I'll live in the projects in heaven. That's fine. I'll be glad to be there. But as far as like levels or their hierarchies of it, there's nothing biblically that I'm thinking of that would describe that.
Because
well,
I know you're supposed to wait till Judgment Day.
Well, let's get to that in just a minute, because I mean, if there's any other thoughts on the levels thing.
No, nothing I have.
No, I think there's a lot of good theories out there about, well, if Paul said third heaven, I guess there has to be a first and a second somewhere. But there's just as much good writing that you're talking about a first century man who was super intelligent, super genius, but the world still thought it was flat. And so the second heaven could very well just be the clouds in the sky and the stars, and all they knew was that they knew heaven was beyond that. And where he was taken was beyond anything he had ever seen, and that might have been his own way of like describing it, like, man, I don't know what happened, but that, because he's writing to people trying to explain that he was in the presence of God. So, but I don't know. And I'm with Mark. I'll gladly live in the projects. My wife's fully convinced she'll have her own mansion because I won't be good enough to live with her. But I'm like, I'm good. I'll be out in the doghouse. That's fine with me. As long as I'm there, I'm good to go. So.
I'm going in smelling like smoke because I just barely escaped on that.
Right. I don't know. I'd rather plead ignorance. The old saying of it's better to be thoughtful than to open your mouth and prove and remove all doubt. I'll just say I don't know.
Read that, because that's what you just quoted, and that's the past. So right there, and that's the quote that you just quoted. So you're right there on page.
Who wrote that though?
It's a fundamental in this one.
Oh, okay.
So
it's somebody good though. It's not like David Koresh.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I really try hard not to do that. You have to be careful there.
I tend to think that's heaven.
I agree with that.
Just because you hear earlier in the scriptures, like natural parts of the world described as the heavens. So I think it's.
Who wrote this?
Yeah, I like the way it was phrased. We're trying to express here in the presence of God, and that beyond, and it's beyond anything earthly.